In this video, we embark on a captivating journey through one of the most transformative periods in ancient history, where the rise of Rome and its epic conflicts redefine not only a civilization, but the entire Mediterranean world. Today, we will explore the origins, battles, and strategic innovations that unfolded during the First Punic War, a conflict that stretched from 264 to 241 BC, and saw a clash between the rising Roman power and the ancient maritime forces of Carthage. Throughout our narrative, we will provide a clear and engaging account of the political tensions, military maneuvers, and cultural exchanges that made these events pivotal not only for Rome, but for all who lived in the shadow of these great empires. We will also touch upon the crucial battles, such as those at Messana and Mylae, and the technological advances that allowed Rome to transform from a land-based power into a formidable naval force. Our discussion will be accessible and free from overwhelming technical details, allowing history enthusiasts of all backgrounds to appreciate the depth and drama of these ancient conflicts. Join us as we unravel the threads of ancient strategy, political ambition, and human endeavor that continue to resonate through the ages, revealing not just historical facts, but the human story behind them. With each chapter of our examination, we aim to build a bridge connecting modern perspectives with the ancient world, making complex events relatable and even exhilarating. Let our exciting journey into vivid history begin now together. Before the explosive series of conflicts, Rome had already begun to unite the various peoples of the Italian peninsula under its expanding federation. The early Roman Republic was characterized by a system of alliances that brought together diverse communities, each contributing soldiers and resources to Rome's ambitious campaigns. Simultaneously, across the Mediterranean Sea, Carthage emerged as a wealthy and old maritime power. With extensive trade networks and formidable fleets, Carthage maintained control over crucial territories, including parts of Sicily, which lay at the heart of early political tensions. The intertwining interests of these two powers would eventually set the stage for a monumental confrontation. Rome, though primarily a land-based power, realized that to secure its growing territories, a strong naval presence was essential. Carthage, on the other hand, had built its reputation on maritime dominance and a tradition of mercenary armies recruited from distant lands. The presence of Greek city-states with vibrant cultures along Sicily further complicated the political landscape. Their alliances shifted as local ambitions intertwined with the larger imperial designs. Political decision-making in Rome was a delicate balance between bold strategy and cautious diplomacy. The Senate, with its mix of seasoned veterans and cautious statesmen, often found itself at odds with a populace eager for glory and expansion. This internal divergence, however, only sharpened Rome's resolve to secure its interests. Carthage, too, was not immune to internal conflicts, as disagreements over the management of their vast empire occasionally surfaced. Both realms were driven by a similar ambition: the desire for dominance in a region rich with resources and strategic significance. This convergence of military preparedness, political maneuvering, and the quest for economic power created a complex environment where a single incident could ignite a larger conflict. The stage was thus set for the clash that would become known as the First Punic War, a war that not only redefined regional power dynamics, but also laid the foundation for Rome's future imperial expansion. As these developments unfolded, the parallel evolution of military doctrine and political institutions laid the groundwork for a rivalry that would eventually span centuries. The challenges faced by Rome and Carthage were not merely about territorial disputes. They encompassed cultural differences, economic ambitions, and innovative uses of technology in warfare. Rome's reliance on a citizen army and an inclusive network of allies contrasted sharply with Carthage's use of experienced mercenaries and a well-established fleet. At the heart of the conflict was a small town in Sicily called Messana, occupied by a group known as the Mamertini. These Campanian mercenaries had seized control of the town around 284 BC, acting independently after deserting Syracuse's service. Their occupation incited tension with Syracuse, which, under the rule of King Hiero, was determined to expand and secure its domain. As Messana became a strategic prize, the Mamertini found themselves caught between rival powers. When Hero's forces blockaded Messana in 265 BC, the mercenaries were driven into a desperate search for support. In an unexpected twist, they first turned to Carthage, whose interests in limiting Syracusan expansion made them a willing partner. However, sensing the increasing threat posed by the Carthaginian presence and hoping to safeguard their future, a significant faction of the Mamertini reached out to Rome for aid. Facing a dilemma, the Roman Senate debated the wisdom of intervening in Sicily. On one hand, accepting the Mamertini's plea risked inciting conflict with Carthage. On the other, Carthaginian control of Messana meant Rome would face a dangerous foe occupying a vital maritime corridor. Ultimately, the Roman assembly, buoyed by a sense of destiny and the lure of potential rewards from war, decided to ally with the Mamertini. This decision sent a ripple of change through the region. A consul named Appius Claudius was dispatched with a small force to relieve Messana, marking Rome's first significant military engagement beyond the Italian peninsula. The initial success at Messana set off a chain of military maneuvers that escalated rapidly into a full-scale war. As Rome found itself committed to a new alliance, the Carthaginians quickly responded by securing support from Syracuse. With both sides now heavily engaged in the struggle for Sicilian supremacy, the conflict transformed from a local crisis into a contest for regional dominance. The early battles were characterized by rapid shifts in control and unpredictable alliances, setting the tone for one of history's most enduring wars. The convergence of Roman ambition and Carthaginian maritime skill sparked a conflict that would redefine the balance of power in the Mediterranean for generations to come. In retrospect, the events that unfolded in Sicily reflect not only a battle for control of a single town, but a turning point that thrust Rome into the role of a Mediterranean power. Every decision, negotiation, and skirmish during this period carried immense weight. The strategic choices made by both sides, under the pressure of rapidly shifting alliances and unforeseen military challenges, reveal how a seemingly minor dispute over Messana ultimately ignited a war with far-reaching consequences. Facing repeated setbacks on land and the looming threat posed by Carthaginian naval supremacy, Rome realized that its future depended on mastering the art of seafaring. Unwilling to let Carthage dominate the Mediterranean, the Romans embarked on an ambitious program to build a fleet from scratch. Inspired by the ingenious designs of earlier naval powers, they constructed 120 vessels, including 100 quinqueremes, famed as the backbone of their emerging maritime forces. These ships, manned by hundreds of rowers and legionaries, signified a radical departure from Rome's traditional reliance on its legions. Roman engineers and shipwrights pored over every detail, ensuring that the new fleet could rival the sophisticated constructs of Carthage. The quinquereme, with its intricate arrangement of rowers and elevated platforms, became a symbol of Rome's growing technological ingenuity. Battles at sea, such as the decisive engagement at Mylae, showcased not only tactical brilliance but also a surge of national confidence. Through a mix of bravery and innovative thinking, Roman fleets seized critical victories that would reshape the balance of power across the Mediterranean. The victory at Mylae marked a turning point. With the Romans now capable of asserting their control over the sea lanes, subsequent operations led to the occupation of strategic islands like Corsica and Sardinia. Access to these territories provided Rome with vital naval bases, effectively cutting off Carthage's avenues of maritime communication and commerce. As the fleet's reputation grew, so did Rome's willingness to extend its reach, even launching daring operations against Carthaginian holdings in Africa. Following successes in Sicily and on the seas, Rome sought to strike directly at Carthage by launching an ambitious invasion of Africa. Under the command of consuls such as Marcus Atilius Regulus, Roman forces crossed over to enemy territory with the intent to undermine Carthaginian power at its source. The initial landings were met with fierce resistance, as Carthaginian generals and loyal mercenaries employed innovative tactics, including the effective use of cavalry and war elephants. The early successes of the invasion, however, were soon met with setbacks that revealed the challenging realities of waging war on unfamiliar soil. Roman forces initially achieved a series of victories, pushing deep into Carthaginian territories and forcing the enemy into a position of desperate negotiation. Yet the tide of fortune was unpredictable. A skilled Spartan mercenary, Xanthippus, arrived with reinforcements and reorganized the Carthaginian army, turning the battle to their favor. His clever deployment of cavalry disrupted Roman formations, and his use of war elephants created chaos in the ranks, leading to a significant defeat for Roman forces. In the ensuing chaos, Regulus was captured, symbolizing a turning point in the campaign and highlighting the risks of overextension. Despite this critical setback, a dedicated Roman fleet managed to rescue the remnants of the beleaguered army. However, fortune had not smiled on them for long. As the dust of the protracted conflict began to settle, the terms of peace imposed on Carthage brought about profound shifts in the Mediterranean landscape. Carthage was forced to surrender its remaining possessions in Sicily and relinquish control over islands between Sicily and Italy, while agreeing to pay an overwhelming indemnity over the span of 20 years. For Rome, though the war had been costly in lives and ships, the victory marked a decisive step in establishing its dominance over the Western Mediterranean. The fierce battles had underscored the valor and resilience of Roman soldiers, whose strength ultimately outweighed the mercenary forces of their enemy. Both sides paid a heavy price. Rome lost approximately 500 ships and 200,000 men at sea alone, evidencing the brutal nature of maritime warfare. Yet, these staggering losses were counterbalanced by the strategic and political gains that Rome secured. Rome's expansion was not confined to Sicilian or African theaters. It extended northward, reaching the tumultuous shores of the Adriatic. The First Illyrian War saw Rome confronting piracy and instability under Queen Tuda. Roman forces swiftly crossed the Adriatic, subduing rebellious Illyrian tribes and establishing a series of alliances with key coastal cities. These decisive actions not only quelled piracy but also extended Rome's influence into the heart of the Balkans. Concurrently, the Gallic tribes of northern Italy, long dormant in their aggression, revived old hostilities. Bands of Gauls, driven by plunder and fresh migratory pressures, invaded Roman territories, prompting stern military responses. As the murmurings of discontent and ambition grew on both sides of the Mediterranean, hints of a second confrontation began to surface. Rome's recent victories and territorial gains had set high expectations, while Carthage, stung by humiliations and strategic setbacks, nursed ambitions for revenge. The stage was being subtly set for a clash that would eclipse all previous conflicts. I have witnessed the unfolding of history in my studies, and I believe that the lessons of the First Punic War offer profound insights even today. I see how Rome's daring decision to engage in far-reaching naval innovation transformed their destiny. Every stride they made, from constructing sophisticated quinqueremes to winning decisive battles, echoes the persistent human spirit in the face of adversity. I am proud of the adaptability and boldness of the Roman strategy, which turned potential setbacks into monumental triumphs. As I review these events, I reflect on the powerful impact of strategic alliances and the courage required to venture into unknown realms. I also perceive that the intricate web of politics and warfare during this time reminds us that even mighty empires face internal dilemmas and external threats.